I walked outside and it was like this weight came off of me.
Wow.
The sky was blue for the first time. The trees were green. My body felt like excited, lighter. Like my body was like almost like I had just broken out of like jail or something.
Welcome to the Wisdom from Within podcast. My name is Jen Axe, and I am your host. This is where mindset meets body set, where we access both so that we can make the most genuine, authentic, empowered impact on those we love and those we serve. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. I love what you're doing, and we're going to get into it. I'm going to share a little bit about Dr. Anna, who's known as the Mindset Doctor. And she's a visionary and she's a leader with 2 decades of expertise in human health and mindset transformation. You hold a PhD in natural medicine, and you're a certified expert in brain health and traditional naturopathy. I just think your wealth of knowledge is so inspiring, and you have built this entire body of work around rewiring the brain. And I would love to start by digging into like knowing if there was a moment in your own life where your body did know something before your mind, and how you got into this mindset work and how the body informs that practice and that mission for you.
Yes. Our body, yes, is always giving us that feedback. And there's a very specific moment in my early 20s that was life-changing for me. I struggled with depression since I was in high school, but it wasn't something that back then you would call it depression. I didn't know what it was. I just knew I didn't feel okay inside. Like I had friends, I was an athlete. I mean, no apparent quote unquote trauma. And so inside I was like, something is not right with me, but I just kept going through the motions and doing the things, chasing the carrots. And so after high school, went to college, thought, oh, I'll feel better once I go to college. Didn't work, didn't feel better. Then I'm like, oh, well, I'll move to California, then I'll feel better, right? You know, we chased that carrot. And I got to California in my early 20s and I had a great job and I had health insurance. So I thought, oh, I'll just go to a doctor and get a pill because that'll fix my quote unquote in brain chemistry imbalance, right?
Right.
Today, there's no way to measure brain chemistry. So I was going to the psychiatrist, ultimately kept putting me on medications. I was on 3 mind-altering medications at 23 years old. I went back another time just to tell my doctor, hey, this medication isn't working, hoping for a new regimen, if you will. And this day I went in the office and I noticed things for the first time. I noticed like people were hunched over, almost embarrassed to be there. The walls seemed like they were caving in on me. I was super irritated inside, super like really, really annoyed. Waiting for my appointment, you know, waiting 20, 30, 40 minutes to even see the doctor. I go in and I sit in this leather chair, and I've done it multiple times before that. And it's the first time I noticed he didn't even look at me. And then he starts asking me the questions. Do you want to hurt yourself? Do you want to hurt other people? And goes through. And then he takes a phone call in the middle of my session. And my heart just started beating so fast. My body was like screaming, but on the outside, I'm like being super calm, but inside my body was like, get out of here. What are you doing here? Like it was so screaming to me. And he got off the call. And I remember I stood up and I was like, I don't appreciate you taking a call during my session, which was the hardest thing to even voice.
Yeah.
So hard, like standing up for yourself in front of your doctor, right? Like these people are held on these pedestals.
Yes.
And he looked at me, he was like, oh, sorry, like as if he wasn't sorry at all. And he had gone back to the line of questioning. I'm like, I need to leave. And he pulled out of my folder my 3 prescriptions. He had already written them before I had even gotten there. And I remember I took them in my hand. I was walking out by the front desk and there was a little gray trash can and I threw them in the trash can. And I walked outside And it was like this weight came off of me. The
Wow.
sky was blue for the first time. The trees were green. My body felt like excited, lighter. Like my body was like almost like I had just broken out of like jail or something.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was incredible. And in that moment, I really was like, okay, you are the only person that can make yourself happy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
figure this out.
Yep.
And that's what I kind of set forth on a journey. I was like, if we can rewire computers, we could rewire our brain. And I set forth on a journey to essentially fix what was going on within me. So then everything around me started to change once I started doing that. But it was some little light in me that I know not all people have, but it was a very defining moment in terms of me being an advocate for my own mental health and being
Yeah.
an advocate for my just me in general and how I'm showing up in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was the
Oh
start.
my, that's such an incredible story on so many levels, but the courage, the thing that really stands out to me is your courage to stand up
Yeah.
for yourself, like you just said, to advocate for yourself and then throw those pills out. Your body spoke so loud.
Mhm.
And I want to understand that journey. Like, was that the first moment that you really listened to your body in that way? And I also just want to comment on something you just said around that light inside of you and how bright it really got for you in order to do that. And everybody has that
Mhm.
opportunity and that possibility. Everybody has a light.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how dim is it and what do we need to do to brighten it up, right? So
Yeah.
we all have that capability. And so this is such an inspiring story. I'm curious, before this conversation, before this experience, had you ever listened to your body in that way before?
You know, I would push things down. Like I knew
Right.
I wasn't okay inside, and
Right.
knowing the work that I do now and knowing what the body is constantly giving us feedback and saying
Right.
is like anything the body is telling us is just to help us get back in alignment. I
Right.
was so far out of alignment with
Right.
who I was meant to be. I was people pleasing, expectations of society, making decisions and being like, I had such a fixed mindset that like, well, I have to do this and this is
Yeah.
what I have to do, even though
Yep.
inside my body was like, no, like you're not okay, like make a change. And I
Right.
always say that if we don't listen to those subtle messages the body's giving us, our body's going to speak louder and louder and
Right.
louder until we are in full dis-ease or a psychotic breakdown or can't get out of bed because our body is trying to help us. It's saying, put the brakes on. You have one life to live, and I need you to make this adjustment now. I've been telling you
Yes.
for a long time, and you haven't been listening. So
Yes.
I'm going to show up and scream at you. Like
Let's
this is on
go.
purpose.
Exactly. Oh my God. I love you. And I love this message. And I love it so much. And I'm so curious with your expertise and your background and your education. How do you, you know, make this real for people, right? I'm trying so
Yeah.
hard with like the body wisdom and the body intelligence. And people are like, okay, it's woo woo. It's this, it's this, it's this. What do you say to people to help them understand the importance of listening to your body?
Yeah. Well, first, the body is always going to follow the mind, whether it's your conscious mind or unconscious mind, is
Mhm.
constantly signaling to the body. And most often it's the unconscious, the programs that were programmed into you when you were little that you
Right.
are not even aware of. You're running these programs. I'm not good enough. That's not available to me. People don't like me.
Right.
I'll never lose the weight. I'll always be broke. Like these are constantly running and you're not necessarily conscious of them. Some of them
Mhm.
are, and your body's going to show up to validate all of those things each and every day
Right.
because you're telling it. But at the same time, your body's trying to say, make a difference, like make a change, like let's shift this.
Right.
And we don't listen. So the first thing I like to say and ask, because I always go back to the brain, because the brain is like this amazing operating system. And when we're
Mhm.
conscious and we're present, we can access different parts of our brain that will serve us.
Right.
So most people can be living when they're in fight or flight, when they're in worry, they're living in this limbic system in their brain, this worry, worry, worry. When you're living in that part of your brain, it cuts you off from using what's called your prefrontal cortex. This is your executive function thinking.
Right.
So you're making decisions based out of emotion versus based out of the big picture.
Yeah.
Right. And you're doing the best you can. It's just you're
Right.
not accessing this part of your brain. So what we get to do is we get to ask ourselves open questions. So it forces us to go to that prefrontal cortex. For example, okay, what if it wasn't true that I had depression? What if that wasn't true? What's available to me?
Mm-hmm.
What if my body was just experiencing it? Not that I have it. I'm just experiencing it. And so when I started asking myself these different questions, it started to like get me to go and say, okay, well, what if I didn't have depression? Okay, well, if I didn't have depression, I would show up with more energy every day.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't talk about all my problems all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel better in my body. I would feel more at peace. And then it becomes, why don't I allow myself to feel it now? Because we get to activate our own pharmacy in our brain.
Right. Yes.
So we can shift the biochemical makeup, the hormonal chemical messengers in our body in 150 to 300 milliseconds by shifting a thought alone. That's the power that we have. So once I started to kind of understand how like I can hack my own brain, I can hack my emotions.
Yes.
I started to feel better in my body. Then when I started to learn about the breath, oh my gosh, and you already know about that, your listeners know about that. Just this breath of life that we've been given to just breathe, to activate that vagus nerve, activate that parasympathetic relaxation, rest digest system. Because when we're in rest digest, that's when our prefrontal cortex comes online. That's when our creativity increases. That's when our sense of safety increases.
Mm-hmm.
And when we feel safe, we can be more creative. When we feel safe, we can feel more connected. And that's a primal thing that we need, connection and feeling belonging.
Right.
But when we're in fear and worry, we exclude ourselves. We go on an island by ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we don't feel okay inside. And we're not meeting those primal needs of creation and belonging.
Right.
And feeling safe.
Yes.
We take all those away.
I am so happy you are on this podcast right now. You break it down so beautifully. It's attainable. We're in a moment right now where people are very, very afraid and scared, not just in their own personal life. People are always entering crossroads. There's, like you said, we go back to this conditioning and it takes us over. And so you mentioned starting to inquire and ask those questions. And you listed a few of them, which is so beautiful. And I'm going to put them in the show notes because I want people to really capture them. And then what do you do with that information? So what would it be like if I didn't have depression? What would that open up for me? And then all of a sudden you come to some of these realizations, you're journaling, then what?
Then I become an actress in my own life. My friend Courtney McDermott, which I connected you with her.
Yes.
And I hope she's coming on the podcast.
Yes.
She talks about how we're always playing a character. And she's so right with that. So it's like, you get to choose your character. So what character are you choosing to play? And I hadn't heard of that before until I started listening to Courtney. I mean, I always thought it's like kind of like fake it till you make it. But I love the concept of playing a character, like become your own actress,
right?
Or actor, and start acting in the energy of who you desire to be. You can do that right now.
Right.
And the other aspect that I really work with clients on that has been so liberating and healing is if we can re-envision a future, right? Like if you can say, you know what, I want my future to look like this, or then the next day, like, no, I want my future to look like this. Like you can re-envision a future at any moment, any time.
Right.
When we do that, that means we can re-envision our past, meaning you can give your past a different meaning. You can
Exactly.
change the whole vision of how you view your past. You can do it for your future. You can do it for your past. Now, you may say, well, I can't change my past. What's done is done. And you're absolutely right. But what we get to do is those defining moments from our past, instead of viewing them from the lens of lack, fear,
Right.
worry, I'm a victim, this
Right.
happened to me, which means I'm blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We get to go back to that and we get to extract the value gained.
Right.
Meaning there is something beautiful that happened for you, that shifted your character for you because you went through that. I can't do the work I do today without going through that moment
Right.
in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Without that doctor medicating me and medicating me, medicating me, getting me to the point where I almost checked into a psychiatric ward.
Wow.
I went through so much. I remember standing in a parking lot and my mom had come to visit me and I was bawling on my knees. Like I could cry today.
Oh,
Like I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
But it's like, this happens for us
For you.
because it helps us help the next person. So like with my work, it's like, if I can help someone else not feel like they are nothing anymore and realize the power, that blueprint that was imprinted in all of us to make a difference in this world, like that is what I get to do. But I have to be able to re-envision my past. I can't be the victim of my past. I am
Right.
amazing because of my past, all the things I went through. And so that's the beauty that we can do, because we can choose to stay a victim from our past, or we can choose to extract that value gain and say, I am a more understanding person because I went through that. I am more compassionate because I went through that. I am more open because I went through that. I'm not going to judge someone based on a moment of time of their emotions, because that's not them. That's just something they're experiencing in that moment.
Right.
So like these are gifts that we are given, but we have to shift the perspective of how we're viewing them so we can empower the future that we are meant to live.
Oh, incredible. I'm so moved and I feel so deeply. I feel that moment when you were emotional and your mother and in that parking lot. Like we've all had that parking lot moment in a way. And I always, I do believe that everything happens for us, not to us. And I also know that that can be very fucking triggering for people.
Oh yeah.
Because right? Because we've been through it's like, don't tell me that that happened for me, that
Yeah.
it
No.
fucking hurt me, you
Yeah.
know? I get that. But there's this compassionate, right? Like leaning into our own life with compassion and curiosity to learn and to grow and to know exactly what you said, that there are lessons within all of it. And we do have that choice.
Yeah.
We do have that choice, and I love empowering that choice for people.
Mhm.
That is so beautiful that you did it, and it is serving your purpose so incredible, so profoundly. Question, tell us about the work. So this is all inspiring this mission and vision and purpose for you. And then I'm looking behind you and there's like this, picture, right? Of like a body and a skeleton, right? Tell us about what you do with your clients.
Yeah. So there's so many elements of my life experience, my education, that I have brought all into how I uniquely show up and provide space and work with my clients. One of the things when we talk about the body and how the body is always signaling to us, the body is always signaling to us emotionally and physically. So biochemically and physically. So for example, I will look at the tongue of my clients. Your tongue says a lot about what's going on internally in terms of your foundations of health. I will look at your eyes. I can look really closely at your eyes and see the different fibers and different organ systems that are being impacted. You can look at the ears, look at your fingernails, see what's going on. And ultimately really looking at the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can hold someone's hand, and whether they're in person or remotely, there's different techniques that I use to tap
Right.
into someone's system. But like if they're in front of me, I can hold their hand and I can feel
Mm.
different energies flowing through their body. And some of the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I do, I don't, sometimes I can't put it into words how I know
Right.
things or how like however things show up. And
Right.
it's hard for me to verbalize.
Articulate. Yeah.
But ultimately it comes back to like calming that nervous system,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
releasing different emotions that are being stored in the body, restoring foundations of health, because we have this energetic being that we are. And actually, if we go inside every cell till you can't go any further, the only thing that's left is what's called a quantum atom. That's only energy. So we're
Mm-hmm.
technically more energetic than we are physical beings, but there is a physical aspect to us.
Right.
So we also, not only am I working on the physical and biochemical with the nutraceuticals, with figuring out what food sensitivities you have,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what's best for your physical body, but then we
Mm.
also have to address the energetics,
Right.
emotionally, thought patterns that are going on, re-envisioning the past. So there's all these different layers
Mm.
of when I work with people, and I use biofeedback, we use visualization, we use breathing techniques. If they travel to Bakersfield, California, and they come to our wellness center, there's different therapies. I'm going like that because it's outside my office, but there's different therapies that they can do within the wellness center.
Mm.
And so I combine like high tech with this old school holistic health, energy medicine, Chinese medicine approach. So it's not like I just do, this is the one technique I use.
Right.
Literally the person's in front of me.
Right.
I get little drop-ins of what it is that we get to do. I listen to their body. I listen to what they're saying. I listen to how they're saying the words they're saying. I'm listening to the words, like different words impact, because words carry vibrational frequencies. So there's so many things going on that I'm processing to figure out, okay, what is a blueprint of some type of something that you can do to start to feel better in your body, to start to show up and have different conversations, to not feel fear, to not, feel like your hormones are all over the place. How do we get you sleeping at night? How do we reduce that anxiousness?
Right.
How do we let the body signal that I'm okay inside? And so
Yes.
that's ultimately the work that I do.
Absolutely incredible. I'm so grateful for you on this planet. And and I know the people are listening. I mean, I don't even know. You wouldn't even be here if you didn't like resonate with this messaging and this body of work that you're doing. Tell us about the Happy Whole You podcast.
Okay. Well, the Happy Whole You, I started off the Happy Whole You podcast and Happy Whole You in general. So my company is called Happy Whole You. So the reason I chose that name is because deep down, I believe everyone wants to be happy. And in order to be happy, we must be whole. And that choice is up to you. And so that's where the name came from. And the podcast I started as a tool to just send clients information on different topics. So I would just, I'd see them and they'd be like, oh, we were talking about different types of ADHD, because there's not just one type of ADHD. Here's the podcast on the 7 different types of ADHD.
Yeah.
Or, we're talking about their liver, and here's a podcast, about the liver. Because I know.
Right.
When we have knowledge, when we have more knowledge, that is an opening. That is a gateway to be able to do something about it. Now, we have to meet knowledge with action. That's very, very important. We can know all the things, but still not do them, right? Like people know, I should eat healthy, but I'm not doing it. So I like to bridge the gap of the knowledge. And then what is the lowest barrier of entry to get you to take action in a way that's sustainable, that you are going to do, and you are going to get the most optimal results over time. And that's really, really important.
Yeah.
And then the brick and mortar that we have here in Bakersfield was really a desire. I always had this like desire in the back of my mind, going back to that psychiatrist office that was like gray walls, like they hadn't updated that office in forever. It just grows, right?
Yeah.
Like any doctor's office that you go in that they haven't updated or it's not beautiful and nice. I mean, to me, that's offensive. Like it really is offensive. Like we pay so much money. And you may say, oh, well, my insurance pays it. Well, your insurance just paid $500 for 6 minutes, 7 minutes with your doctor, and they can't have the courtesy to make a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So my whole desire is like, what if I made this beautiful space that when you come into my center, nobody has any idea why you're here.
Right.
Whether it's the kid with autism to the business executive that can't sleep at night, that is having panic attacks and running a multi-million-dollar business, to the stay-at-home mom that just wants an hour to herself a week, to somebody who wants to just prevent any negative things from happening. Nobody knows why anyone is at my facility. We call it a spa for your brain. Like people come in here and are just like, it's like a spa.
I love it.
Nobody knows who's working on what, or there's zero stigma around my brand. And when people come in here,
right.
Like there's only curiosity of like, oh, cool. I want to try that. What's that?
Right.
So it's really a mission of mine to create a beautiful space where people can come and align their body so their body can heal itself, because every organ system, if you put it in the right environment, has the capacity and the capability to heal itself. It's just, are we putting it in the right environment?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
love it. Oh, love it. Love it all. Question. So you have this experience growing up and you struggled in your own, with your story that you shared so vulnerably. And thank you for that. And then all of that activated you into action and advocacy around your own life. And then as a result of that, you have educated yourself and created this incredible business to support and be in service of those that need your work.
Yeah.
Those that are struggling. I'm curious, through the journey, have you had moments of misalignment again, where you have disconnected or relapsed into, and then how do you get yourself back on track?
Yeah. I mean, I just had one a few years ago. I was working 18 years for a school district. 10 years I was a teacher. 8 years I was in administration, and I was the wellness director for the largest high school district in the state of California. And my job was to reduce a $54 million expenditure on healthcare. And I focused on behavior health claims. And I went into this job and it was like my dream job. I'm like, I'm going to retire here. Like, this is it. I have made it. Like, it was such great work. About 4 years into the 8 years, maybe 5 years, I started to feel this tug. I wanted to create the brick and mortar.
Wow.
And a few things happened within the organization that wasn't aligning with my belief systems. You know, like, I'm the type of person that I want to show up and make things like the best they can be, not just show up and collect a paycheck. Right. So when you work in government, there can just be people that you make very uncomfortable when you're thinking as big as I was thinking.
Right.
And, anyways, I started 2 years before I left that 18-year career. I started to show up with autoimmune markers in my blood. I started not sleeping. I started to feel anxious. I just started to just dread going to work, but I was making 6 figures. I carried the benefits for my family. I had full retirement. I had check every single box. You would be crazy to walk away from that. And I knew I needed to go, but I felt paralyzed to even make the decision. My body was screaming louder and louder and louder to me. And I allowed fear to keep holding me back. I eventually had a moment where I had to really make a deal with myself. And the question I asked myself, which is, I still use this question today with any decisions that I'm making, is, if you were on your deathbed, would you regret staying or would you regret going and following your dreams? And the answer is very clear. I would so regret staying. As good as
Right.
it was, as good as I was at my job, I was making a difference, but it wasn't in full alignment and my body was telling me. So at 40 years old, I walked away from the guarantee of a paycheck, all the safety nets, and went full time into my company now. And it took me less than 2 years to 10x my income and just to make back everything that, in my mind, I was saying, "Oh, you're losing all these things." And I wasn't. I didn't realize what it was costing me to stay. And
Mm,
that's the thing, is we get to ask ourselves, what will it cost me if I don't? What is it costing me to stay the same?
right.
And if that pain is greater than what you want to face when you are on your deathbed, you got to move. You need to make a change,
Right.
as scary as it can be. So for me, when my body's speaking to me, I try to get quiet and
Mm-hmm.
I ask myself these open-ended questions, which, part of that through what I've learned through working one-on-one with people and asking these questions, and I have to reverse it on me.
Yeah.
And then I also work with coaches too. So I'm a coach. Right now, I have 2 other coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a coach that I have people that work with me, and,
Right.
I think that that's really important because
Yeah.
we have these blinders up and we need people to, ask us those questions and help us shift perspectives because we don't know it all, right? Like anyone that
Mm-hmm.
hires me, I don't know everything. I'm going to keep pointing back to you and
Right.
helping you get more in alignment with yourself, but I don't know everything, right?
Right.
I'm going to help you to a certain extent. And then there may be like, you get to move on to another person to work with you.
Right.
So there's this process that I think we all get to be open to, and it's not a one and done thing, but
Yeah.
asking ourselves these open-ended questions and being in the visualization of what's possible versus the biggest fear, I
Right.
think is more important. Because
Yeah.
if I looked at, oh, what could go bad if I walked away from this job, if I stayed in that, I would have stayed sick and I would have stayed there
Right.
versus being in like visualizing what is it costing me? What would I think when I'm, 95 years old? So that is a really helpful to shift gears to make that knowledge meet the action and bring those.
Yes. Excuse me. I love that. And that actually brings me to, well, first, I just want to really honor you and acknowledge you, and share my gratitude for your vulnerability. I'm sure you've shared this story before, but I appreciate you being here. These are the stories that matter. Our human stories matter because it's what people can hold on to and relate to and feel hopeful by
Yeah.
and inspired by, and it's essential. And you really um, shared very, very important nuggets about your life. So thank you for that. And that piece that you just shared really answered the question that I was going to leave us with today, which is around what if someone is sitting there here listening,
Mhm.
um, saying, my body is speaking and it is screaming and I am terrified. And I know myself, Jen knows because I've been there too.
Mhm.
Leaving a 20-year marriage was the toughest and hardest decision I've ever made in my life. But my body too was screaming. And there was no way I couldn't, or else I was going to get sick. Like you said,
Yeah.
disease, right? That's where we can land if we don't listen to the body. So I'm curious from your perspective, even though you pretty much just said it, what does one do in that moment of contemplation and confusion and fear? What is one step that
Yeah.
they could take?
First, I would invite them to put their hands on their heart
Mhm.
and to close their eyes and take a deep breath.
Mhm.
And I would invite you to go through each and every part of your body and moment in life
Mm.
that your body has served you. For
Mm.
example, the fact that you have these hands that could hold someone else's hand,
Mm.
that these arms were able to hug someone. Your eyes are able to see your friends, your family.
Mm-hmm.
Your mouth, your vocal cords able to maybe sing, laugh,
Mm.
share what you're grateful for. Your heart that's been beating every single step of the way.
Mm.
And just inviting you to just get quiet and go through your body with gratitude for all that it's done for you, and being very, very specific about what it's allowed for you. Maybe your legs walking you down the aisle, maybe your legs walking your daughter, or, you know, your son somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So really getting in gratitude of your body, and then
Yes.
getting in gratitude for those moments.
Right.
But when we get quiet and we start breathing, we start to calm down and get in that rest digest state where we can access visualization from the perspective of gratitude, of possibility. And that allows the body to start shifting that biochemistry.
Mm.
We can start shifting that biochemistry to activate calming hormones, to
Mm-hmm.
decrease cortisol, stress hormones, and to connect that with a visualization.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really powerful in
Yeah.
cementing in new neural pathways in the brain.
Mm.
And so, and listen, if this is hard for you to do on your own, hire somebody that can take you through a visualization.
Right.
Like right now, 2 years ago, I couldn't have just like we did a little embodiment before we started this just to center ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, I would have done that, went through the breathing, okay, and then I would have been eyes wide open, ready, let's get on this podcast.
Right.
And like I had told you, like I can go to my breath and like I don't want to like open my eyes and come out of it sometimes. I'm so grateful to have that sense of inner peace.
Right.
But it took me a while to get here. So we
Mm.
get to ask for help. Go to a breathwork class. Hire somebody who can help you with that. And then hire someone that's not going to, because sometimes people will ask, like, how do I know it's the right person?
Mm.
Sometimes we don't know until we're in it. I mean, I've spent
Mm.
thousands of dollars on coaches and programs that I'm like, oof, that's wasn't what I thought it would be, which is
Yeah.
fine. You learn something from that as well.
Right.
But being mindful that whoever you hire is constantly pointing back at you. They're
Yeah.
not talking about their blueprint and how you should do it this way. And there's all these steps that, you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
They may have some type of plan,
Yeah.
but when they get in session with you, it's all about what your body calls for and what you need.
Right.
And so
And
finding
mm.
that person that's going to be with you and give you the space to
Mm-hmm.
do what your body needs to do to process this is really important.
Yeah.
And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's probably one step that I would say is to get into embodiment, get into gratitude for every aspect of your body, gratitude for every aspect of your life that's gotten you to where you are now.
Yeah.
If you have a hard time getting there, hire someone, because the quicker you can drop into that,
Right.
I'm telling you, your biochemistry starts to shift and you start showing up in a new energy day in, day out, the more you do this.
Mm.
And it's available to each and every one of us. We just got to remember to tap into it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh my goodness. I love it. What a conversation. So much to think about, so much to feel about is
Mhm.
what I say.
Mhm.
And I'm very grateful. How can people find you?
Well, happywholeyou.com is the website. We're at
Mhm.
happywholeyou on Instagram. I do have a personal Instagram, Dr. Anna Marie, dr.anna.marie, on
Mhm.
social,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, But it's the internet. You can find it if you really
Yeah.
desire.
Exactly.
You'll figure it out.
I got all the things. I'm going to put them all in the show notes and everything. You've been incredible. I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad we've met, and I'm really looking forward to all that's to come.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. See you next week on Wisdom from Within. See you.